This time I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners to order Monday, March 28, 2022. If you'll stand for the invocation, please.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today, Lord. We thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for another day of life. Thank you for another beautiful day. Go with us, Lord, as we conduct business for the county that will be pleasing to you and to our citizens. Lord, we pray for all the people that's in the war situation now, that you bless them and touch them. Go with us and guide us and direct us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'll to approve the agenda, and are there any changes?
Yes, to remove item A on discussion, the River Street presentation. They contacted me this morning that they were not going to be at today's meeting, and I gave you all the email that I asked them for what they were not coming for. They're going to try to come to the April 11th meeting, which will be your first meeting in April.
Okay.
So I need to remove that from today's agenda.
All right, we'll take that off.
Make a motion to approve the agenda with the deletion of item A under discussion, River Street presentation.
All right.
Motion to approve with that deletion.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, and the next item is public comments, and the first person signed up is Brad Chandler.
Good afternoon. And I was trying to look at some information from the Economic Development Department. I went through all types of files and in past years, and I couldn't see or read anything that detailed what his accomplishments were or what his challenges were. So on March 14th, I emailed Will, and I CC'd the Board of Commissioners, all the exception of Commissioner Mendenhall. I'm sorry I couldn't find your email address. So I don't want you to think that I slighted you. I didn't mean to. And the reason I CC'd the Board of Commissioners, it's my understanding, I would think, that the board is the direct supervisor of the Economic Development Director, not the manager. So it was a simple email. It just said, Will, I said, could you please send me copies of your two past annual reports. You can either put an attachment and send it to me in email, or I'll come by and pick it up. So that was on March 14th. So Friday morning, still hadn't heard anything. And I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's busy. But I had business down here in Danbury anyway, so that Friday on the 18th in the morning, I stopped by. And I went up to the third floor, his office. The light was on. So I tried to go in, but it was locked. I went to the next office next to his, and they were very polite, professional. They were very busy, but they did try to contact somebody for me, but they couldn't get anybody. But I did appreciate that. So still nothing that I heard from Will. So then on later that day, March 18th, I emailed the Board of Commissioners again, but I kept getting a reject from Commissioner Nicholson. It might have been it's probably not you, it's probably me. But I did, and of course, Commissioner Mendenhall, I couldn't send it to you, but I did give it to all the other three, Commissioner Morris, Barney Castle, and then Cox. Got saying, hey, and I also did the manager. I sent her because I wanted to give kudos to the people that I talked to in that next office. I mean, they were very professional. They stopped what they were doing. So anyway, still nothing. So on March 22nd, though, I did receive a message from the manager. And so she responded back to me, and she even inquired if Will had contacted me, and I told her no. I did also ask her, I said, hey, do you know if you can give me copies of the annual reports? And she said, to her knowledge, she didn't think that he had reported or given, I guess, reports to y'all of the annual report. So I thank her for at least reaching out. I don't understand why we're here on March 28th, and all he has to do is say, I have the reports or I don't have the reports, but it's a public record request. So if he has them, he needs to provide them to me under state statute. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Chandler, which email did you send it to? You said that mine got rejected. Which email was it?
It was the Gmail
Yeah.
account. I don't bring my phone in here, but I'll give it to you.
Okay.
When I watch my car, I'll make sure I give it to you.
Okay. Because that's the first email I've heard of that's been rejected. If anybody
The
tried to
first
send
one
me.
went through. So the second email, it kept rejecting me, saying it wasn't a valid email address.
Okay. Please do check it and let me know. Thank you.
All right, thank you. The second person signed up to speak is Andy Stevens. And I forgot to tell you that if you'd please just state your name and address,
I know the
please.
rules.
Yeah, I know you do.
Good afternoon, Commissioner, staff, and everybody else. My name is Andy Stevens. I live at 157 Old Garner Drive, just outside King, North Carolina. Couple of questions, concerns, and when I just heard the addition to the agenda here, I guess I have something else that I'm going to talk to. I'm a kinder, gentler Andy now. I'm recovering from a hip surgery that took place 3 weeks ago, so at least I'm alive and still walking. And I don't have a whole detailed set of prepared notes, so I'm just going to be talking a little bit off the cuff. But there is some prime commercial property located in King that I happen to be very familiar with because it's located adjacent to where I live. And over the course of the last month or so, there has been some very extensive surveying taking place there that is costing somebody quite a bit of an amount of money. Now, that commercial property ought to be considered prime commercial property that both the city of King and our own economic development manager should be acutely aware of and deeply involved in seeing to it that we make the best use of that property. Of course, the property that I'm talking about is adjacent to the King YMCA and also the Novant Hospital facility, so that there's a couple of other options that are available besides just retail or other general commercial purposes. However, in the city of King, apparently the economic development team is asleep at the switch because I have contacted both the mayor directly and the city manager, and both claim no knowledge whatsoever of any interest or anybody taking any activity in those adjoining properties to have conducted that extensive surveying. I would think that if the city of King is not interested in it, it still resides within the county of Stokes, and our economic development manager, who I believe has property just across the street on East King Street, would be vitally interested in what might be taking place in his own backyard as well. And I have yet to hear any news from anybody indicating what might be taking place at those properties, again, that are immediately adjacent to mine. So I would ask that if there is any activity taking place, and that if someone is aware of it, officially or unofficially, that it not be a corporate secret and that it not be something that becomes an allegation of unfair favoritism or feeding facts and information to certain people who are politically collected or otherwise. I would hope that any use of this property would be to the benefit of the entire county and the city of King, and that everybody that is involved in the economic development process would be vitally involved in it to see to it that that property is developed to the best use and the most profit to the county. That being said, I don't know what's happened to the relationship between the city of King and the county of Stokes. The city manager in the city of King threw your GIS department under the bus recently, because I went before him with a query about some inaccuracies in one of their county websites, and he said it was all the responsibility of the county GIS system. Before I came to this meeting here today, I went downstairs and talked to the GIS department, and they informed me that the city manager was basically blowing a cloud of smoke up my behind. So I have no issue with the county of Stokes or the GIS department. I will, however, hoping that this is a short meeting, have a brief stop at the city of King offices today to have a face-to-face meeting with Mr. Homer Dearman. That all being said, I live outside the city limits of the city of King. My property adjoins the city limits of the city of King. My property offers certain advantages to those who might want to utilize the property that's adjacent to me for purposes, whether it be a hospital or otherwise, because I have access across the railroad from my property that some of these other properties do not. I would like to know how my property may be affected. I certainly sit in an area that's called the extraterrestrial jurisdiction of the city of King. I do not expect eminent domain to be used against me to seize portions or all of my property in the interest of economic development, either for the city of King or the county of Stokes. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This time, I'm going to close the public comment section. There's no one else signed up, and I'll move to our comments from our commissioners and manager, and I'll start down here with Commissioner Morris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to welcome everybody to the meeting today. It's good to see a good crowd out here. Ask everybody to keep the folks in Ukraine in their prayers as they go through a really tough time over there. Really makes you appreciate what we have. Thanks again for coming, and that's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Nicholson.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good to see everybody. Mr. Stevens brought up a good point, and it's actually put some questions in some of our minds as well, and questions have been asked, actually the ones out there doing the surveying, but no answers have been coming back. But to my knowledge, everything that's being built has to come through planning and to the board's approval and everything else, so of course that would be open to the public. But to my knowledge on that, we have no clue what's going on. I just understand there's some people doing some surveying for what reasons, I don't know why, but that's all the information I have on that part. Appreciate you bringing that forth to the board. But besides that, that's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Mendenhall.
Well, I just want to welcome everybody for being here, and just say each and every time that I thank you for being part of our governmental process, and thank you for coming out and for the people that had public comments, thank you for those. Brad, I'll be glad to give you, if my email address hadn't popped up, I'll be glad to give it to you after the meeting. Thank you. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right. Vice Chair.
Great to see everybody today and everybody watching live stream. And to Mr. Stevens' comment, I stop at Sheets quite often, and I noticed what he was talking about, and it had my curiosity up as well. So I think that'd be something really interesting to dig in to see what's happening over in the city of King, so we can find out. But again, appreciate you bringing that forth today, and that's all I got.
Okay. And again, I'd like to welcome everybody and thank everybody for being here today and the ones watching online. And Brad, if the email links that should be on our website aren't working, we'll make sure every commissioner's email is up there and working. I'm not sure why they wouldn't be, but we'll double check on that.
The first one went through to
Okay.
Andy, but
Well, all of ours should be there and should be easily accessible because that's what we want, but we'll have IT look at that and make sure that's possible. And I will say, so I've only been on the board for a year, and since I've been on the board, I don't remember an annual report from economic development. However, I do think that's a good idea, and moving forward, I think that's something that should happen at least annually or maybe biannually. And I know there's a lot of sensitive things that Mr. Carter deals with economic development that sometimes can't, just like what's going on with that survey, and there's things that the city of King has to keep quiet for a while, just like the Chick-fil-A that we had rumored for a long time, couldn't be confirmed until here recently. But the things that he can share in public, not maybe some of the current things he's working on where a deal might fall through or something like that, but there are things I think that information that we could get on a yearly basis or a biannual basis. That's
follow the state statute, I'd be happy.
I understand, but thank you for bringing that to our attention. And that's all I have, and I'm going to go to Shannon, and then if you'll come back to me for a second.
Welcome to everybody here today. I want to take just a second to just make a note that this is Miss Julia Edwards' last meeting with us today. She's been here for 43 years almost. A lot of that time, almost 30 as the finance director. Julia is a wealth of knowledge that we're going to miss every day in our office. She knows just a little bit about everything. Even if it's not about her department, you can go into her and say, this happened back then. Do you remember what happened there? And she can usually pull it right out and tell you what's going on with it. So we really, really appreciate Julia, and I've really enjoyed working with her, and surely going to miss her both as a friend and a coworker. So I'm not going to cry today, so we'll wait for Thursday for that on your last day. But I really, really do appreciate you. You're the most hardworking, dedicated person I've ever had the pleasure to work with, and I really appreciate you.
And on that note, on that note, Julia, if you'll come around here, and the board will come down, we have something to present to you. It says, presented to Julia Edwards in appreciation of your 43 years of dedicated service and commitment to Stokes County. So you hold that, and we'll get a picture, and we'll all get in here with you. Come over this way a little bit, so we don't join everybody in.
Somebody don't get there. Thank you. Thank you.
Let her have a minute to speak. Thank you so much. I would just like to take a moment to thank all the boards and the citizens for allowing me to work for the county for 43 years. And 30 of those years was as finance director. Over the years, the county has gone through some tough times, gone through some good times. The boards and the employees have worked hard to keep the county financially sound. I wish the board and the staff good luck. Lisa will do a good job. It will take her a little while to learn everything. I didn't learn everything when I first went in this position. I just wanted to thank the board and the citizens for the privilege of being here for this long time. Right. Well, I have, like I said, only been on here, served for a year, but I had the pleasure of working with Julia on numerous 15 years worth of school budgets. So we were the people always up here begging Julia for more money back then, and Mr. Mendenhall can attest to that fact. And she always did right by the schools and tried to help us every way she could. And I think we have an outstanding fund balance that we can attest to her, and she's went above and beyond to make sure this county's financially sound, and we have her to thank for that. So thank you. And we'll say more. We're going to celebrate her again on Thursday. So, all right. Anybody else have?
I can say, I ain't gonna say how many years, but I've been knowing Julie through the fire service. And I went several years, and finally one day I said, I'm gonna meet this woman. I get all these checks at the fire department, I see her name on them, but I've never met her, so I got the privilege to meet her, and I can honestly say we've never missed a check at the fire department. We always got them when they're supposed to be there. They come on time, and I think if I can speak for the fire service, I think she's done an outstanding job with us as well.
Sure.
Sure, I just want to say I've known Julia for quite a while, for many years, and I know her family very well, and it's been a pleasure, Julia. It's been a pleasure and honor working with you. It's only my 6th year as commissioner, but every bit of these 6 years I've enjoyed, and as Sonia said, we did come up here many times asking out for money, and when I was superintendent, and even when I was principal at North Stokes, I'd always try to kick in a little bit to our superintendents who were in office at the time, and I've always enjoyed working with you. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Mr. Hill, I ain't got to work with you long, but it's been fun since the time we have. One thing that I learned about you that just amazed me more than anything, besides the knowledge you have during budget time, you ask for a number before we could even flip the page, you already had it spat out your mouth. And I've never seen anybody type a calculator as fast as you have and be on time here. But the one thing that I've learned about you is your heart. You've got a big heart. What a lot of people don't know is the time that you've helped out others that needed vacation time. You didn't even ask a question. You said, give it to them. And that speaks a lot on your character right there. And if it was one thing that I didn't know about you, if I just knew right there, just told the type of person you was. The county's been blessed to have you the years that we've had you. And got some big shoes to fill there, Lisa, but I know you can do it.
Just a little compassion.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's definitely been nice getting knowing you and working with you, and I've really enjoyed it. And good luck. I don't know if you'll be joining Jake on the fishing bank or not, but if you do, catch a big one for us. So.
Julia, I have really enjoyed, I worked with you about 10 years now, and I have really enjoyed working on these budgets with you. I worked on a lot of budgets before I got to the county government, real complicated budgets, and I was so pleasantly surprised to work with somebody like you who knew what you were doing. I can't think of hardly a question I ever asked you about a budget that you didn't have an answer to, or you didn't get it in a couple minutes or whatever. So, and then the fact that you cared so much about getting it right and not cutting any corners or anything. So you're just one of the best people I've ever met, you and your mother both. And I just did the calculator. I think even if you don't count the budget meetings, you must have done 1,032 commissioner meetings. That just makes my head want to explode thinking of that. But right, you deserve a medal just for that. But we're really going to miss you, and we hope to keep seeing you around the neighborhood after you're gone.
You can come and make public comments to us. Just for old time's sakes. Thank you. All right. At this time, I'll read the conflict of interest statement before moving any further. Does any board member have a conflict of interest with any of the items on the agenda today, or one that could be perceived as a conflict of interest? All right. Nope. Then I'll move on. And the next item is the consent agenda, which contains minutes and the budget amendments. Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next item is discussion. Item A was deleted. Item B is our 2021 final audit presentation. On your last meeting, you get to do the audit.
Yeah.
How timely.
At your locations, I have put your audit report and the presentation that Kelly Gooderham will be doing from Martin and Starnes. And I just give you also Exhibit 3 to show you what the fund balance is of $8,033,752, which is 20.17%. So you're still staying within the. So Kelly, you want to come? This is Kelly Gooderham with Martin and Starnes. Just get ready to go. And they have a copy.
Okay, good. Okay, so it's kind of hard to follow something like that, for sure. I definitely would like to take a moment and just say how much I'm going to miss you, Julia. You and I have worked together on and off, but, pretty consistently for the last couple of years. And you guys, you're losing somebody that has a lot of, knowledge and experience, but you're gaining one that we're going to give knowledge and experience. So we're definitely going to miss you for sure. But we're not saying goodbye yet. Luckily, you're going to help with this next year. So we'll just get started. We have prepared the following PowerPoint to present what we feel to be some of the more pertinent topics of the county's fiscal year 21 audit. It is noted we have issued a clean, unmodified opinion, which is the cleanest opinion we can provide. So first we'll go over the county's fund balance classifications. First we have your non-spendable fund balance, which includes your inventory and prepaids. Your restricted fund balance, which consists of your stabilization by state statute of $3.2 million. Your other restricted fund balance consists of your mental health MOE of $40,000, your health department of $341,000, your school current expense of $940,000, and then your debt service of $3 million for a total restricted fund balance of $4.3 million. Your assigned fund balance of $3.2 million, and then your unassigned of $8 million to arrive at your total general fund balance of $19 million. So next we'll go over your available fund balance calculation, which is a calculation utilized by the LGC to compare units across the state, as well as calculating your fund balance percentages. First, we start with that $19 million total fund balance, less your non-spendable of $92,000, less your stabilization by state statute, to arrive at your available fund balance of $15.6 million, which was an overall increase of $192,000, which was primarily due to an increase in your stabilization by state statute total fund balance, and an increase in your non-spendables. So here's another calculation utilized by the LGC. It's your available fund balance as a percentage of expenditures and transfers to other funds. LGC uses this also to compare units across the state. So as you can see, your total available fund balance percentage increased roughly 3%. And then here's a 3-year comparison of your general fund balance percentage as compared to your population groups and statewide. So as you can see, the county is just a little less than your population group and your state. So next we'll go over your total general fund revenues and expenditures. Overall, revenues increased around $4.4 million or 14%, which was due to an increase in your ad valorem tax revenues, other taxes and licenses, and your intergovernmental fund revenues. Expenditures decreased around $5.8 million or 13%, which was primarily due to a decrease in your debt service expenditures due to the jail project paid off in the prior year. So now we'll go into a little bit more detail of your top 4 revenues and expenditures within the general fund. First, we have your ad valorem tax revenues, which increased $1.4 million or 12%, which was due to an increase in collections. Then we have your intergovernmental revenues, which increased around $2 million or 25%, which was due to an increase in your restricted intergovernmental revenues from increased funding for state grants, including your federal pass-through monies. And your sales and services increased $196,000 or 6%, which was due to an increase in your ambulance fee revenues and DSS Medicaid claims. Then we have your other taxes and licenses increased $955,000 or 13%, which was due to an increase in your local option sales tax. Now we'll go over your general fund top 4 expenditures. First, we have human services, which increased $792,000 or 10%, which was due to an increase in salaries and related benefits within your health and DSS administration. Public safety increased $543,000 or 4%, which was due to an increase in salaries and related benefits across several departments within the public safety function. Then your education decreased around $3,000 or 1%, which is comparable to the prior year. But it is noted this is only your Forsyth Tech Community College. It does not include your school fund expenditures, which is now a separate fund of the general fund. And then your general government, which decreased $971,000 or 13%, which was due to a decrease in your operating expenditures, salaries and benefits, medical costs, and capital outlay across various departments. And lastly, along with the submission of the audit to the LGC, we are required to complete a data input sheet with various financial information that is keyed directly from the audit report. The finance director reviews and certifies this template. This template analyzes the data and shoots out results as performance indicators. Some examples of performance indicators are deficit fund balance, statutory violations, or significant findings. So in fiscal year 21, the one performance indicator that was represented in the data input sheet was the audit report was not submitted within 5 months after fiscal year end. And it was noted that there were 2 significant deficiency findings and 1 material weakness. And are there any questions?
Okay, thank you.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hey, thanks, Kelly. Appreciate the report. On the deficiencies and the weaknesses, are we required to give you a corrective action plan or whatever?
You are actually required to submit a corrective action plan letter to the LGC, and it will be signed by all the board members, and it has to be done within 60 days of today.
Okay. Okay.
And I can help Lisa with that, sorry.
Okay, great. And one other question, on the, this chart you showed, the, our population group, would that be the average? Would that just be the average fund balance?
It's an average. So the LGC, and this information is actually pulled from the LGC's website, so I can provide that link to you if you would like. It is just for each entity that is within a specific population group, that's what their percentage. And note, that is for fiscal year 20, because obviously right now, 21, we don't have all of the information, so that's as of fiscal year 20.
So could you interpret that to mean that if we wanted to set a target fund balance that we should have, we should add 5% more to it, make
Not
it 35?
necessarily. So that's just kind of some informational data that the LGC uses. Right now, your percentage is actually fairly healthy, and a lot of factors go into that. For one thing, that calculation subtracts out your loan proceeds, which the county did have loan proceeds in fiscal year 21. So some calculations take that into account. The one that I presented, even though it's very similar, that did not actually come into play. So if you're having an unconventional year to where you're, stockpiling fund balance for a project, then obviously that's going to make a huge difference. So there's a lot of factors in that. The LGC really just monitors it, so there's no right or wrong. It could just be that you guys are gearing up for a project or, what have you. So
We should probably just be pretty close to it most of the time.
Yes, that's usually, as long as you're not in the LGC's naughty list, then you're doing okay.
Okay.
That's good to
Right.
hear.
That's all I have, Madam Chair.
All right, any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much. We
Thank
got
you.
plenty to read. If we want to read all the fine print, I'm sure we will. Thank you so much. We appreciate all your help. Thank you. All right, moving on, the tax office agenda.
Good afternoon. I think I'll be brief here today. The tax collections monthly status report shows that we've collected $24.4 million, which is about 98.85% of the budget amount for this year. So probably by next month we'll be over 100%, so that's really good. Next item is the real and personal releases less than $100. We have 19 total tax bills that total $955.67. Then we have refunds that's less than 100. That's 10 tax bills that total $466.21. And then we have real and personal refunds more than 100. That's 7 tax bills that total $1,894.34. Then I have 4 present use value late applications. And then the last item I have is just information pertaining to the 2% discount. It's just for the board's information. If the board doesn't plan on making any changes, you don't need to do anything, but if the board plans to make any changes, that will need to be done by May 1st per North Carolina General Statute. That's all I have, other than we need to move the real and personal refunds more than 100 and the present use value late application to the April 11th consent agenda.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, Richard, that you're talking about if we wanted to change whether we did discounts or not, then we'd have to do that by May 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want to change it personally, but
That's why I reported in March. That gives the board the option if they want to. That
Okay,
They can by
okay.
statute.
yeah, that's all I got.
All right, any other questions? Thank you for the report.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, the next item is apparatus payoffs for the fire commission.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stephen Robertson. I'm here representing the Fire Commission as their selected chair for this year. With me is our Fire Marshal Scott Aaron, who also is the ex officio secretary for the Fire Commission. And first of all, I'd like to thank his office for all their work that they put into helping the fire commissioners out day in and day out with putting the information together to make our job a lot smoother as fire commissioners and getting the task done in a quick process. Before you today, we're coming to you asking for a request to pay off 6 pieces of apparatus from 6 different departments. This year, I've been on the Fire Commission several years in several different realms, and this is the first time we've been fortunate enough to have a fund balance that we could actually work with. And meaning, what I mean work with is work towards making the budget process better by reducing debt. So we're coming before you asking for approximately $310,811 in fund balance money to be used for the Lawsville, Francisco, Northeast Stokes, Pine Hall, or Stokes Rockingham, excuse me, Danbury, and Double Creek Fire Departments. We have requested payoff numbers for 30 and 60-day numbers, and the amount requested before you would be good before the 30-day notice, and that is coming up. To kind of give you an idea of what the Fire Commission is looking towards, we're trying our best to work on a plan to eliminate debt without holding up progress. We have struggled with debt for as far back as I can remember on trying to balance that out. As you may or may not know, the fire service is an expensive business to be in that does not provide a lot of revenue gain for anything. So we're looking at many different avenues, and this is one avenue that we're working at. Previously, there was a moratorium that was tried and not adding any new debt. However, during that time, there was no success in decreasing debt, which really just compounded the problem that we're presented with right now. So we are trying to find that balancing act of working to eliminate debt, but also not hold up progress and not uphold needs. Moving forward, we would like to open up a line of communication with the county commissioners through the Fire Commission and explain to you our goals and objectives that we're trying to, and so that we can work collaboratively with this. Also, the Fire Commission is trying to be more open with our fire departments, not just during the budget season, but throughout. And through this process of working to eliminate debt, we want to meet with the fire department's the board of directors and the chiefs and explain what our mission and our goal, what our mission is as fire commissioners, and what are some of our goals. And then again, we work collaboratively with them, and that we're all have an open line of communication with that. And we would also ask for your support as we work towards that, because in the end, with the great reval numbers that were presented and the potential growth that is here in Stokes County, I think the fire service could really stay very modernized if we can just tackle this debt that's out from underneath us. So the request we would, due to the time frame, we would respectfully ask that if we can move this to the action agenda today, that would help us out. If not, we would actually have to go back and go get new payoff numbers. So if we could respectfully in our request also ask that it be moved to the action agenda, and I will be glad to entertain any questions you may have for us.
All right, thank you so much.
Madam Chair. First, is this going to be something that's going to be ongoing? You anticipating that?
We hope so. You've already seen some of the work that we're doing through the ESO, and we have some other things as the new budget year starts out. But that will be a goal of ours going into every budget session, and we actually plan to meet sometime in May to try to get a rough plan together, and then maybe work with the manager on coming to one of your workshops and discussing that with the county commissioners, so that we, again, could be working collaboratively together.
All right, I know a very important question I'm going to be asked, so I'm going to ask you. That way I get a direct answer. How did we go about picking those 6 departments?
They were the lowest payoff amount. So we did, there's a lot of ways people look to eliminate debt, but we made our biggest bang for our buck with those 6 departments. If we'd have chosen more expensive, we'd have just paid 1 truck off. So we looked at paying 6 off was our best bang for our buck, essentially.
Okay. Now my next question is, I know how the fire departments work.
Yes, sir.
Will these 6 departments be able to go ahead and put it in their budget next year to buy another truck?
So I'll answer to you this way. We can't control what they request. We can control what is approved. We approved a truck purchase this year. I will tell you, because, and I had great reservation with that, and you can ask Fire Marshal Aaron, I had great reservation with that, but in sitting here thinking about, especially with the moratorium part, we just prolonged the problem. We didn't move forward with anything. So part of the part of the approval of that truck was that the first payment had to be 2 years out from July 1. So that would give us time possibly to look when that truck payment is due, is maybe we have the money to pay it off right then. So to answer your question, is our goal will be going into next year is what else can we pay off based on what the revenue expenditure numbers look like. So hope I answered your question.
That's all I've got.
Okay. Any other?
I'm good.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple follow-ups, Steve, and thanks for coming.
Yes, sir.
So are you going to do, like, what you're saying, you're going to kind of develop a strategic plan for paying off debt, basically, right?
That is correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it like a 5-year plan probably? Is that what you're looking at, or?
We've looked at anywhere from 2, 3, 5. The shorter, the better. As far as that goes, you got anything?
The one thing that we did look at was, like we were saying, we're paying off these lower debts or older debts, was trying to bring that money back in, put it back in for next year, because now we're not going to have to appropriate that. So hopefully with what we have in the fund balance next year, and then some of this debt that we're getting to pay off, we can look at tackling some of the next ones. You know, buildings is obviously going to always be the last thing that we're going to be able to pay off. If we can get the fire trucks took care of, and then hopefully within a 3 to 4 year plan, maybe we can have it to where that we're, you know, just buying trucks straight out and not having to finance anything.
Yeah, that'd be a heck of a goal.
We're foreseeing, based, and I have a lot of spreadsheets that I made throughout this process, and I hate that I didn't bring them. But we're foreseeing in the better part of 1.2 million being available for apparatus purchase if we can get rid of this debt. And I mean, fire trucks are becoming more expensive, but essentially, in the rough end of things, it's a fire truck a year being bought within the county, and 2 to 3 smaller QRV rescue or brush truck wildland apparatus being bought a year. So every fire department would look at a new pumper tanker or engine every 9 years, and then a new smaller vehicle every 5 to 9 years somewhere. That is kind of what our goal is, one of our goals.
So for now, what you want to pay off this debt payment,
Yes,
then
sir.
you're going to come to the budget and do one for the next budget. And that's for sure, those two, right? Then anything beyond that, you'll kind of see how it falls out.
Yes, yeah. As Fire Marshal Aaron mentioned, we're kind of using that debt consolidation and using what we pay off to pay off more debt. So you can essentially say with this money that we're asking for in debt payoff that would be requested next year if we didn't pay it off, we're already earmarking that to work on consolidating less debt. And I as I mentioned, we need to get with the board of directors to kind of explain our goals. And I've been in the fire service long enough. I don't think this may not be initially well received, but hopefully after they've had time to digest it and we speak about it some more, they'll see the end road would be definitely better than what we're doing right now.
Okay, one last question. Do you know of other fire departments that actually pay as they go for fire trucks and not use debt? I mean, they're so expensive.
Right.
I'd be surprised if people could really do that very successfully.
Fire Marshal Aaron, through the State Fire Marshal's Office, worked out a discussion with Avery County. Okay, a few counties with A's in it, so I get them confused sometimes. But Avery County, and they are working in that model where they pay cash for. They have a rotation set up, so we're kind of using that as a example in building our own system for that. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's all I have.
Is there any advantages to, well, I know there's financial advantages, but do you get any cheaper rate to pay for it up front?
When we could talk to these manufacturers about, essentially, we're doing a cash deal, and we possibly could look at, that could definitely, with anything, be possibly an advantage to us, yes.
Well, I think you're doing a good job with this, it's an aggressive plan, but it looks pretty well thought out, and it looks like that, anytime you can pay off debt, and I'm glad you asked that question. I think most of my questions got answered that I had, is to take those lowest 6 and do that. That makes sense to me, but I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Thank you.
we'll.
Yes, sir.
And just
Go ahead.
before we make a final decision on whether to move it to action, I just want to make sure your summarization is the asking of $310,811, and it will affect the 6 fire departments with the lowest.
It is the 6 fire departments with the lowest debt, and that number is still,
As far as I know, that's
yeah.
still as long as we stay within this 30-day payoff, we're actually good. There was actually one department that called us back after we had initially decided to do this and said that they had already made a payment, so theirs would actually come in lower, so we were able to lower it just a little bit from what we had initially thought.
We requested these numbers about mid-March, so we're about halfway through that 30-day and 60-day option. So we do feel good about those
To
numbers.
keep these numbers.
Yes, sir.
We need to go ahead and move it to
I
action.
would respectfully ask that y'all consider that, yes, sir.
All right, that's what the consensus of the board, we'll move that to action, and that'll become,
This
action.
is-
89.
Okay,
This is fund balance money that was carried over, so this is not, we're not requesting
Yeah, it's not-
additional money.
Yeah.
This is-
Yeah, it's
this is all-
unrestricted fund balance.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
okay, that'll become item F. And what's the budget amount?
Budget amendment 89.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, and the next item is the JCP appointment request, JCPC.
So what you have in front of you is from the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. They're making some recommendations to replace some board members that either resigned or they're just vacant positions they currently have. There's a note on here about your current resignations from the council. Your Stokes County School Representative Doug Rose, Stokes County Sheriff's Department Anna Keaton, District Court Judge Designee Kathy Kaiser, and BOCC appointee Christina Chilton have all resigned from the council. The JCPC is recommending that Jonah Cheek from Stokes County Schools fill that position that was currently held by Mr. Rose. Sam Pegram fill the Stokes County Sheriff's Department currently held by Ms. Keaton. Elaine Habnick as an advocate for at-risk youth and families. That was just a vacant position that was not filled by anybody right now. Lindsay Moose to take the District Court Designee position for Stokes that Ms. Kaiser was filling, and then Robin Riddleberger to the Parks and Recreation representative that is currently vacant. There's also a vacant BOCC appointee that they don't have a suggestion for because they'd want that from you all. We'll open that up on the website to take applications for it, but if you know anyone that might be interested in serving on the JCPC, let them know that'll be out there on the website for them to put an application in for that, and they could certainly turn that in to us in our office. So today I would just ask that you nominate these members as they have presented on here that we just read out, and then we can move this to action for the next time. And if we get any applications in the meantime for the BOCC appointment, we'll bring that back to you at a later meeting.
All right, I'll open the floor for any additional nominations.
Make a motion that we close nominations with these 5 that have been presented to us today.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
So we'll have this back on action. So it's just for
We'll
that.
advertise all of these, but we'll also open
Okay.
up for the BOCC appointee.
All right, sounds good. Next item is the finance reserve funds request.
I'm asking for the board to approve per General Statute 159-32, request from the Finance Department be approved to hold an amount greater than $500 in a secure location. And I've attached the general statute saying that this has to be approved by the board. And I'm asking, well, I don't know, did I ask for this to be moved?
Probably needs to go ahead and be
Yeah,
moved,
it probably
doesn't
needs
it?
to go ahead and be moved to action if you would, please.
Are there any questions, or do I have a motion to move this to, or a consensus to move this to action?
Good with moving it.
All right, it'll become item G on action. All right, and we'll move to the action agenda, and item A is the animal control ordinance language change that will include the animal welfare division, which was just a separation of the language in that. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item B is the fireworks display at the Bella Colonna Mansion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. The offer to purchase surplus tax property.
Motion to approve.
All right, I need a second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. The proclamation recognizing the National Public Safety Telecommunication, and let me read the proclamation. Hang on. Give that to me. I'm like,
I'll give you a paper copy.
okay.
I'll give it back when I do the sign.
Okay. So the proclamation for the National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week, April the 10th through the 16th, 2022. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical service, and whereas when an emergency occurs, the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from citizens who call or text the Stokes County Emergency Communications Center, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our citizens have with emergency services, and whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link for our police officers, firefighters, paramedics by monitoring their activities by radio and providing them information and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators and the Stokes County Emergency Communication Centers have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, the suppression of fires, the treatment of patients, and whereas each telecommunicator has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year. So, Matt Bowles is here, Emergency Communications Director, if you will present this to you. Thank you so much, and let everyone know at the Communications Center, we appreciate what they're doing. I think she's got a signed.
When we get finished, I'll give everybody to sign it. I'll give you the whole copy.
Yeah,
Okay, so
thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, and again, we do thank everyone at the Communications Center and Telecommunications for the job they do. It's critical, and we really appreciate them going above and beyond down there, for sure. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. The item E is the Hospital Operations Committee appointment of an alternate. I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Am I supposed to poll the board on that? What was the name again? I don't have it pulled
Joyce,
up.
Baden, and Duncan.
Alternates.
It was one, we already approved two, right?
Looks like
Approved.
Robin Joyce,
Joyce.
Debbie Vaden, and Justin Duncan. Those are the three alternates.
Okay.
Joyce, Baden, and Duncan.
Joyce, Baden, Duncan.
Joyce Faden Duncan.
George Baden and Duncan.
Joyce, Spade, and Duncan. All right. Somebody made a motion already, right? And second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So the item F is the Apparatus payoff with budget amendment number 89. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And G is the funds request by the Finance Department.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, I just need a motion to
Make a
adjourn.
motion that we adjourn.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
At least you know what your name is.